Hallelujah, Yuhewafe. Praise Yuhewafe. Bait news Sophie Yuhewafe. To be carnal minded is having to do with life on earth, especially as opposed to life in heaven. To be carnally minded is to have an earthly, fleshly mind, to exist on animal instincts only, just to eat, sleep, go to the bathroom, and enjoy physical pleasures. But to be spiritually minded is to transcend animal instincts. Please enjoy this short clip from the powerful message by the Honorable Yuhewafe Beit News Sophie Yuhewafe Yahweh Ben Yahweh, titled To Be Carnal-Minded is Death, Part 1. To hear this entire message, you can visit our YouTube channels, Yahweh Righteous Builders, The Works of Yahweh Ben Yahweh, or Yahweh's Royal Priesthood Publishing Company. I pray you enjoy this message.
I'm the Grand Master of the Celestial Lodge. I'm the Grand Supreme Master Architect of the universe. People that don't know anything about Yahweh have a lot of trouble coming from the carnal mind to the spiritual. It's just an impossible gap. If you don't have the Spirit of Yahweh in you, you're carnally minded. And to be carnally minded is to be suffering from death, a dead mind. Romans 8:6. So we had some men that came to see us today that were carnally minded, dead minded, and that's the way they left. Because they didn't come seeking me. They come to challenge me, to disprove me, which is impossible. Even white people know you can't do that. They admit that. They admit that my proclamation, my self-proclamation, is a matter of faith. And when you deal with the matter of faith, you can't disprove that. You can reject it, or you can accept it, but you can't disprove it. So Satan doesn't try. He simply comes out and shoots mind games on people to hope to hinder those who would come. So he'll print the truth, but then he'll put falsehood all around it. That's called mixing truth with falsehood. What's the purpose of mixing truth with falsehood? Hoping that those who are carnal-minded, won't hold on to the truth, that they'll grab the falsehood. Because there are some minds that are weak and susceptible to falsehood. And that's where trouble comes to the person. Read Romans 8:6.
For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace.
Now, but to have spiritual mind is to have life and be full of peace. And when you're full of peace, you don't have to search. See, I don't need to go see nobody who say he's God or son or nothing else, because I know who I am. And whatever he says, I know I'm going to force him to deal with me. But I don't have to deal with any of them, but they have to deal with me. That's what makes me God. One of them was talking, he said, he couldn't say this and he couldn't say that. So you're right. You can't say it because you're not God. The reason you can't say it is because you're not God. The reason I can say it is because I am. It doesn't matter whether they believe that or not. It doesn't matter. It's a fact. It says something about, you mean you made the sun, moon, and stars? I made the sun, moon, and stars, and you too. tried to laugh, but they were astounded. It's a terrible thing to be carnally minded, what I'm seeing here. To be carnally minded is you have a fleshly mind. It's just everything you do is fleshly. The whole earth belongs to Yahweh. It does one no good to say the earth does not belong to Yahweh unless you know Yahweh. And then if you know Yahweh, you won't say that. To understand who Yahweh is, you have to be spiritual minded. Now let's read verse 7. Read.
Because the carnal mind is enmity against Yahweh, for it is not subject to the law of Yahweh, neither indeed can be.
And read verse 8 while we at it.
So then they that are in the flesh cannot please Yahweh.
Now all who was in my office today saw that very clearly. And all of you should be able to see it clearly just by studying these words. The carnal mind is enmity. What does the word enmity mean? Is hatred against Yahweh. And it's absolutely amazing to see enmity against Yahweh through anybody. But I gave you 7 years of experience in the trenches of the ghetto. And you had direct experience of people whose minds were enmity against Yahweh. You experienced for 7 years the carnal-minded people. They have no reverence for that which is holy, good, and righteous. And everything that Yahweh does, we know it is good. And those with the carnal mind don't like it. Hallelujah, Yahweh. Those whose mind is carnal and enmity against Yahweh, it wouldn't make any difference if I gave the food away at Yahweh's grocery. They wouldn't come get it. They'd rather drive 50 miles to the KKK and pay 100 times the value than to come to Yahweh, their salvation. That's the nature of the carnal mind. Before my people, the so-called blacks of America, can ever hope to be saved, they have to be brought from a carnal state to a spiritual state. And when I say spiritual state, I'm not speaking of a ghost. Not speaking of the spiritual state as the Christians teach. No. Spiritual mind has to do with the very mind of Yahweh, the Creator himself. To be spiritually minded, listen again, is to be of the mind of the Creator. That is what spiritual mind means.
Thank you for listening.